I said, isn't technology amazing?
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, so here we go.
All right.
Welcome, Ms Chishala. I am so used to calling you Ms Chishala, even though I'm 40 plus. What would you prefer that I call you?
I think I am Josephine now. All of you are grown up. So Ms Chishala is lovely. It's funny because I still call my teachers Miss and Mrs. and Sister Rosemary. So there's something in our brains, I think. So Miss Chishala, Miss Josephine, it's all good. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you. Likewise, likewise. So before we get started, please, the class is probably as fanning out, as excited as I was. I was screaming, guys, just so that you know, I had tears. I felt like I was meeting Beyonce. I had nerves and so excited. So let me focus here and let me ask the question. So please tell us, Ms. Chishala, what do you do now? What is your current day-to-day? Give us the rundown, if you would, please.
Well, just for a change, I'm still teaching. So since you all saw me last, nothing much has changed in that department. I actually have tried over the years to think, what else do I want to do? You know, like, what else do I want to do? And every time I go back and do more study, it ends up in education. So here I am. I'm still teaching. I've just started work at a new school. And I'd like to say thank you to those of you who helped me get that job with your recommendations. Some people don't know about that, but we got the job. And I have a group of 27 and 8-year-olds. So that's here in Australia, it's second grade. And yes, so that's what I'm doing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit more about yourself, like family, kids. I noticed you're a new grandma.
I am a very dotty grandma. Love it. So I have 2 children. John is my firstborn, and he is going to be 32 this year. He's gorgeous, terrific human being. Doesn't always agree with his mother all the time, but I love him anyway. And my daughter, Alana, just turned 29 on Sunday gone. Fantastic. And each one of them has a daughter. So I have 2 grandchildren.
Oh, wonderful.
2 girls. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Going
and
back
life. Sorry, go ahead.
No. And life what?
I said life has been predominantly in Australia since you all saw me, because I left the school. When I left, I went to Europe and then moved to Australia, and Australia has been home since 1987.
87. So what years were you at ISL? Early 80s?
I came to ISL in 1980. And I started off as a sports mistress, which some of you may or may not know.
No, but I remember you used to, well, you did so many things, but no, I didn't know that. So you taught PE.
I taught PE. I started off as a casual because I came and applied for a job, but there were no jobs. And I put my paperwork in at the office. And in those days on your CV, they used to ask you what your hobbies were and what your interests were. And sports was one of mine. And I put it down and walked out. And I got a call. I don't know how they called us back in those days. We didn't have mobile phones. I don't know. But somehow they contacted me to say the PE teacher was going off. She had to go back to the UK. And would I like to step in for the rest of the year?
Wow.
And so I said, yes, of course. And I rapidly pulled out my little baby blue tracksuit and still remember it well. And I trundled over, and he used to teach PE at the main campus. And I don't know if you remember, because the infants used to be on the showgrounds.
That's where I started, at the showgrounds in second grade, then went over to the main school. Yeah.
Yep. So that's where and I used to go across with Mrs. Mwanangoze, who was there at the showgrounds and all that.
I
And I used to
remember her, yes. And she had a daughter, Nanzala, I think it was.
She had quite a few children. Yes,
Oh,
Wendo, Nanzala, all of them, quite a few.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
Wow, 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 wow. So there were so many, but if I were to ask you, what was your absolute memorable experience that you had at ISL?
Oh, goodness. Because that was the beginning of my teaching career. So there were quite a lot of things happening, like you said. I think probably the one thing I remember the most, because it was towards the end, apart from the kids, I remember you kids. Okay, I remember you kids.
I love it.
I remember just loving the beginning of my career. So all of you, starting from when I started. So in 81, I got my own class because then I got full time. So all of you have a really special place in my heart, and you're just this block. I started, and you did not terrify me out of the career, and I'm still in it. So that was wonderful. And then I think one of the last big things I did was, do you remember when we used to have like the, I can't even remember, what did we call it? It was like a festac thing where we celebrated it's a celebration of cultures basically. And that we used to have the parents set up rooms as India or Ireland in the UK. And then we had dancing and we had the food and we had, all these things. It was a grand big day. And that was the last thing I organized. And I remember getting flags from the US Embassy and putting flags of all the nations down our corridor and all the way over to the amphitheater. And then having to organize the parents and the guests and make sure the whole thing was running. So for a kid, because I was a kid
Yeah,
at the time, that was an absolute thrill. It was an absolute thrill. And to have everybody involved in that really left an indelible appreciation for internationalism and international education. Yeah, but mostly I remember your laugh. Margaret, you had a fabulous laugh, and I talk about it all the time. It was just this happy sound, when you laughed, we all had to laugh.
You're going to start the waterworks again.
No, it's you remember, as I think we see so many faces over the years, and it's hard to remember every individual specifically, but there are individual sounds and, looks like, sounds like, all that sort of stuff that you remember very clearly for whatever reason. And your group was quite a mix, and it was a joyful time for me. It was lovely. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Before we started the interview, you did share with me a beautiful story about apartheid. Please tell that story so the rest of the class can. I cannot keep that to myself. Please share, please.
And I was sharing with you about one of the enduring memories that I have, that I share with all my classes. We were studying, we're doing social studies, and we're talking about apartheid. And I was trying to clarify what apartheid meant for the class. And I used the example of, I asked you to imagine being in a place where you could not be friends with whoever you wanted to be friends with. And you and Jordan Clifford used to be good friends, and you were sitting back to back because I had moved you for chatting, but left you close. And when I said that, the whole class said, "Oh," and you and Jordan rocked your chairs back, and your little hands reached back, and you held hands for a moment, and then we moved on. And I think what I was trying to share with you was it was a snapshot like that. We didn't linger on it, we didn't talk about it, and yet it has been an indelible memory in my mind of just the beauty of children, and that we teach children sometimes the right things and very often the wrong things, because and just the beauty of international education that gives you the opportunity to do that and be that. But that has been a gift that you and Jordan and the rest of the class have left with me for all these years.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And here I am, waterworks again. Whew. Okay, let me ask you another question. Now, this one is two parts. Yeah. During your time at ISL, was there ever any time you thought, nope, I'm done. I'm going to give up. This is not for me. I'm not going to teach anymore. What happened and why? What, if so, what happened? Do tell. We can appreciate this now.
Now, do you know, I have actually never had that day. Not in terms of I am done, I'm never going to teach again. I've had days when I've been done with other teachers.
There's a difference.
System. Right? And I had those days. I had a day at ISL where I was done with one of the other teachers on the team, because at that time when I was teaching you guys, I was the grade level coordinator at that time, which didn't mean anything to you guys at all, but was a big deal to a little kid like me who was suddenly like, oh, I'm a grade level coordinator. And so the politics then begin. And so I did have moments where I just wanted to, somebody toss this person out of my way, or else I will do it. Thank you very much. And then I would go with Dennis McKinnon, who was my immediate boss at the time, Mr. McKinnon, if you remember. Do you remember him?
I don't think so, no.
Welsh fellow with a beard. He was, it was more had to do with us than with you guys. Okay. Wander in and out of the office. You only got to see him if you were in trouble, so.
No, I didn't. Okay.
And then I remember going into him and saying, get this person to back off and back up and sort it out, because I'm tired of sorting it out. But I've never had a day where, because of children that I'm teaching, I have thought, that's it, never again. No. So I'm still here.
But you're literally living in your calling. You were made for this. You had a gift, because there's so many teachers, in my education that I had, but very few made an impact in my personal life the way that you made an impact in my life. So truly, you lived your calling, you sowed into us, and we thank you for that. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Oh,
thank
absolutely.
You. I mean, the hard part about teaching is it's like making sausages, like you're one part of a very long process in a sense. And so for me to sit here and speak with you is just an amazing gift, because you don't often see the end product, especially when you're in primary. I think the year 12 teachers and so on get to see,
right,
versions of the adults you might be. Whereas we are at the beginning of your studies, and often, especially in international education, then you all fly away.
Exactly.
Or we fly away. And so it's an absolute joy to be doing this and talking with you and reminiscing about that, sort of face to face. It's wonderful.
I have to give you so many kudos, because you and I kept in contact on Instagram, and you are very tech savvy, because quite a few people are not there yet. But I give you so many props, because even on Facebook we're connected. Where was I going with this? I was just trying to say the fact that we're able to, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and you're in Australia, and the distance, and the reason why Lumbi and I decided to do this we've
Mhm.
lost a few of our classmates up
Yeah.
until now. And then when COVID hit, it was just one of those things like, oh my gosh, this is serious. People, it's gotten to be a place where every day, if you log on Facebook, somebody that you know personally has lost or got sick or this and this has happened. And so with all of that, it was just, Lambe, let's just get everybody together. And here we are. And so to have, you're way across, you're on Saturday, it's still Friday for me. I'm going to have dinner and enjoy the rest of my Friday night. But technology is really amazing. And I'm so glad for this opportunity. Okay, let me focus back to the next question. What would be the message that you would give to the class of 1992?
I think it's still the grand old message of just live your joy. Saying to a little boy yesterday, I have a class at the moment where we've started, it's a brand new school. So this is the first cohort in and everything is new and we're just running like crazy trying to keep up with everything. And I have about 4 kids on the autistic spectrum. And if Roy Silito is watching this, he should connect with me and tell me what I can do for those kids, because that's his specialty. Can you believe that?
Oh, wow.
Yes, is that I think Baylor University, a hospital or something in Texas. So, but this little boy was sitting, he gets quite upset and angry, he's autistic. And yesterday he got very frustrated and he's sitting and he's saying, I am terrible, I am awful. And I turned around and I said, no, you're not. And he said, yes, I am. And I said, no, you are not. You are a good person. And that to me is, if you're at a place where you can encourage somebody else for a second, a moment. And I know that sounds very Pollyanna-ish, but it truly, to me, is the most important thing. Yeah. And if you can lend a hand to somebody before they need it, before you know they need it, just be there for one another like you're doing now. I'm proud of you all for, for organizing this and doing that, because we take it for granted that everybody's okay.
Yes.
But you don't know what I've got going on in my life.
Absolutely.
So stay in touch, live your joy, and God bless you all.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you see, I went out of order. That should have been the last question I should have asked.
You don't know which one my quirky old brain's gonna go. So
oh no, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. I do have to ask though, one of the other things that you did that a few of us were so privileged to be a part of is that besides the PE that you did, you took on a few of us who were lucky enough to do the modeling. How did that all start? Like, you even had kids that were in older ages in other classes be a part of it. I remember Charlotte, I remember there was so many others. Tell us about that. How did you get all of that going?
I had done that when I was in Canada studying. I don't remember exactly how, but the Black community wasn't really predominant. So there were groups in Canada. I was in Manitoba, yes, on the prairie.
Wow.
And I was in Manitoba and I joined, it was actually a Caribbean group, West Indian group. Anyway, through that, some of the events they would do was promoting Black culture in town and so on. And I got involved in it that way, that they did, contests and this sort of thing, and you would win. And I won modeling classes in one of them. And I trundled off and did some classes with one of the local ladies in town. And that's where it started. And it was just something fun and different to do. And when they asked, you can do something for the afternoon, I thought, okay, this will be fun. So, and it was just a joy and a pleasure. And because behind it all was that sense that it was something I did to break out of the fear of being the sense of the center of attention. I actually was never any good at that. And being forcing myself to get on a stage and be stared at by people was one of the things that I used to get over that and just say, you will survive, because I would just about hyperventilate.
Wow.
Yes. So it was something that really helped me in that sense. And then I started to enjoy it once I got over. One of the first things I did, one of the first competitions I did in Canada, I didn't even tell my folks I was on it. I told my sister, say, okay, I'm going to be at this place, da, 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 da. Tell mom that I'm there. And I didn't have the courage to say I was doing this, because I was so terrified. And it became something fun to do if you didn't take it all too seriously and all that sort of nonsense. So it was fun to do it with you guys as well. I can still see you sashaying your little
I still see you. There was this one outfit you had on, a brown dress with feathers on the shoulders, and you were this tall, elegant queen who just commanded the room. And I told myself one day, when I grow up, I'm going to be just like her. And wow, you were a sight to behold. Seriously, it was absolutely a pleasure and beautiful experience.
Thank you. And I'm glad that it was a positive memory, because that sort of thing can so easily be a negative thing, because we're now in the, it might be considered politically incorrect in this day and age, but it was actually, to me, it was more, deportment rather than, let's do anything radical. It was fun, and it was a way of just helping you guys and myself to get comfortable with ourselves and have fun along the way, and do little things like, go off to the Ridgeway and do that at the Ridgeway, which was a fun sort of thing to do. And I'm so happy when I hear you girls say it was actually a really positive memory. So, that's great. Yeah.
Lombe and I we take it very seriously, because Lombe tells her daughter, listen, I was a model. So, we still, we use that till this day in every way that we can.
I'm glad to have been of service.
You really were. You really helped instill confidence. And that was a really big deal. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Anything else you'd like to share with your class?
Look, I just want to say that, as a teacher, for me, it is a great pleasure whenever somebody drops in, even just for a moment, to say, hi, how are you? That's lovely. But it's also a bit awkward in the sense that you don't want to be stalker teacher, old teachers stalking students online. So if you contact me, I try to be reasonable in my responses, but please don't ever doubt that I'm absolutely overjoyed to hear and how you're doing, and I'm forever proud of you guys. Every time I see stuff, sometimes I just look at what people are doing, and I don't necessarily get involved in the discussions, but it just, it's wonderful to know. And I'm sorry that you've lost members of, of the group. That's something I think we're all dealing with. I just lost someone from my class. I used to be a Dominican convent girl before I left.
Oh my!
Yes, we did a competition for ISL. We were this, not St. Mary's. St. Mary's sounds weird, but there's St. Mary's these days. But we were the convent girls.
My! Prim and proper. So we have that boarding school experience. Yes. Well, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so now all I want to say is, look, it's always a joy to contact you guys. I remember you all very, very fondly. It was a time of my life where I was learning, you know, so much about the profession that I had chosen. And you were my partners in crime. So you just always go back, oh, I hope I didn't do any harm. I hope I didn't do any harm. You know, now that I'm older, I look back and I thought, oh my word, we trust 20-year-olds with people's children, you know, the lives of young people. That is just an amazing responsibility. But it was such a joy. And it is still a joy. And yeah, I just always wish the best for all of you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. It is just from my heart, still wishing you all the very, very best. And just, I'm in the background cheering you on still. So go, 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 go. So get amongst it, as they say.
That's wonderful. Well, you know, we'll definitely continue to stay in touch. And on behalf of my class, thank you, thank you, thank you, because in this group, we've got doctors, PhDs, all business owners, all kinds of professions, and moms and dads, which is also a very good profession to have. But all of this, you played the part in the analogy that you gave of the sausage. You were there, you planted seeds, and we've blossomed into leaders of today. So thank you for touching the future, even back then in 1987, and touching our lives. So from us, thank you.
The pleasure was all mine. God bless you all. Stay well, and thank you for the invitation.
Amen.